How's it going, everybody? My name's Raja, for those of you who are joining for our first video. Normally we do full build videos of some of the pieces we make, but today we're doing something a little different, and we're just doing a day in the life at Johi. So this is a day vlog, some Tuesday a couple months ago. Takes a while to get to editing these videos, but here we are. So we started out with our usual morning meeting routine, and it's a time for the team to check in with each other, make sure we all have a clear idea of what we're working on today, and everyone's got sort of their tasks in order. We also go over fun stuff like a review of the day and kind of go over any sales we had overnight. Here we are looking at an arch cabinet that was in progress at the time, so we were working really hard leading up to SF Design Week to finish this arch console. I'll flash a picture of the finished or a similar piece so you can see what I'm talking about. And then we all just went to work. So in this shot, it's kind of cool. You can see the three of us, Juan in the foreground, sanding away, and then me in the middle and Nicole in back. You know, normally we're all scattered around the shop, so this is kind of fun to see in one shot what we're all working on. And Juan was working on a coffee table. Actually, Juan and Nicole were both working on a coffee table. And let's just zoom in and take a look at how he's doing sanding the top. So this piece was all quarter sawn white oak for the tabletop. And you can see the quarter sawn flex just kind of coming through in this shot. But even though we have the wide belt, which we might see in a couple clips, but still has to get sanded by hand on the Festool with the Orbital. I mean, just to get rid of all those wide belt lines before we apply any finish. And especially with the white oak, this can be a pretty time-consuming step just because it is such a dense material. So here we have kind of a closer look at what he's up to. Let's move on to me in the middle. So I was working on the carcass, so the frame of the arch cabinet. And in this step, I was just fitting up all the joinery pieces before we glued it up later on in the day. So here we can see those tenons, which are the pieces that go into the hole on the bottom and top. They were a little bit long, so I had to just shave off a little bit on the length there, and the hand plane just works really well for this task. This one is built out of ash. And a little chisel, a little hand plane action helps get those where they need to be. And then I could try test fitting everything. And, you know, a little mallet persuasion here and there definitely helps. That's all I got to say about that. Tap, 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 tap away. Back to our shot. Oh, back to our shot. We're gonna zoom in on Nicole in the back. So she was working on the base pieces for that same coffee table. The base was made out of walnut, so a little bit of an unusual combo there. Which, you know, at first when our clients chose it, I was a little hesitant. But, you know, as we progressed and seeing the final thing, it's actually a pretty cool combination and quite unusual. So the base is really rounded over, and the hand sanding, especially after it was glued up, to get all the epoxy out of the joints and things like that, really just was the easiest, maybe not the fastest, but certainly the cleanest way to polish everything up and get it ready for a glue up, which we'll see also in the afternoon. So today was actually kind of unusual in the sense that we had 3 pretty big glue ups going on, which, you know, normally we'll have like 1, maybe 2, but so this was a pretty hectic day for us. A lot of times, especially with these cabinets, we'll sand everything before it gets assembled. We might even pre-finish it. In this case we didn't, but just making sure that it's as easy for us to deal with later. Trying to be patient now for ease of working later. So taping the joints, making sure everything is really clean. You know, I'm a little bit prone to just like moving really fast and getting it done. It's nice having Nicole in the shop because she's a lot more meticulous at these steps of like slowing down and making sure we have thought through everything we want to think through before we get too far. And once you've got everything glued together, you know, you're kind of stuck. But so here was our first glue up of the day, getting this console put together. Most glue ups are a 2-person operation. It's super helpful having extra hands. You know, glue dries fast. For those of you who haven't worked with it, you know, you got 10 minutes, a little more, to kind of get everything where you want it and then clamped So here we are. This is not how fast we work. This is like 600 times speed or something like that. Getting glue on all the pieces that need it. You know, these shapes are pretty simple, so it wasn't too hectic. You'll see in the afternoon when we glue up the arch, that's a really hectic glue up. And getting all the components fit together. You can kind of tell maybe from this shot the sides are cut out of the same board, so everything is really trying to keep everything as symmetric as possible. As you walk around the piece, all the grain matches and it's kind of complementary to one another. Same for the top and bottom to some extent. You know, they came from the same board, so like the width of the board, the grain directions on the board, trying to make everything like that consistent. This piece actually got a coat of really deep black finish. See if I can find a photo of that, but and you might think that allows you like a little more freedom, but actually it really accentuates the grain. And so taking the extra time at that early step before when we were gluing up these panels, really important to get everything how we want it. Clamps go on, make sure everything is square enough for our purposes, and move on with the day. I think right around this time we probably broke for lunch. Discovered that I whistle to myself as I walk around the shop. That's not too surprising, I suppose, but it's funny seeing it played back in video. Clean up all the brushes. With the wood glue, you know, you get to reuse this stuff, which is a huge plus. With epoxy, which is what we're using now in this shot, not so much. The brushes, the rollers, it's all just waste, really. It's not worth the effort to clean them, which is, you know, sad and definitely a piece of waste in our process when we do an epoxy thing, so something to keep in mind. So in this step, we are gluing up the arch frames, the actual arch bends. And in this case, we decided to use 14 16th inch veneers. And we're using epoxy as the adhesive because it gives us a lot of time to work and get everything clamped up, which we just wouldn't be able to do it quick enough with wood glue. And so we're working, the three of us. Actually, Holly was helping out too, but she was also filming. And we're just getting glue rolled on both sides, and then stacking our veneer, all 14 of them. So working super, super fast. This is also sped up, obviously, 10 million speed. We are working really hard. You'd work up a sweat doing this, but we cannot move that fast. So Nicole is kind of anticipating how much epoxy we're going to need. I really hate wasting this stuff, so she's mixing up as Juan and I were rolling, and then we hoisted it up onto our mold, and combination of straps, rope, shrink wrap, like everything we can to just squinch it to that framework. And because the veneers are 16th inch, you know, they're pretty pliable, and we were able to get that shape really consistent, which is fantastic. In the past, we've steam bent this, and that's obviously a little more challenging, a little less regular. I don't know which one we prefer, which one we'll do again. I think it kind of depends on the wood species, but this method worked really well for us, and the result was, I mean, you couldn't tell. You'd have to know what to look for, but you can't tell they were 14 individual pieces of wood. A little team reaffirmation here. That's always, you know, those glue-ups are stressful and kind of draining. But seeing as we had the cardboard out, we decided to just roll into the next one. And in this step, we are interlocking the base pieces for the coffee table. And so this is kind of an awkward moment because from this moment on, these two pieces are forever interlocked. And even though they'll be able to kind of pivot on themselves, it makes the cleaning up of everything later and the oiling and all that just a little more challenging. So yeah, I'm trying to be tidy, as tidy as you can be with these things, but really like how the interlock base is coming together here. And we knew before we started that project it was going to be a cool one, and I will flash a finished photo of it now so you can see what I'm talking about. But anyhow, rounding over edges and ciao for now.